The var keyword is an integral part of C#, and yet I still see many people having strong feelings towards it. What I see is the lack of understanding of the role of var. It's not just a shorthand syntax for a type. Var is a part of a larger tectonic shift in programming as a whole. If you modified, if you changed the way you write code, then the var keyword would just click into place. Do you know what I'm saying? In this video, I will show you how var works in real code, how that tectonic shift manifests in some real code, and you will see where the natural place for var is. The story begins with an empty screen and a function that receives some model object. This is an AI company developing autonomous cars, so let's see how this function will cope with the types. Why should I know the type of a variable? What I want to know instead is what the variable does, what the object does. For example, the car can scan its surrounding for other vehicles using some sensors. I want to let the car drive for the duration of 5 seconds. I want to see the trajectory of my car. Please observe that through all this time I haven't specified a single type, yet I'm pretty sure that you know very well what this code is doing, even without knowing the types. Now I want to see the trajectories of all other vehicles. I remember the plural in the variable's name, so link must apply. Let's see. So now I have a sequence of trajectories of all the cars, all the vehicles in traffic. And I wonder whether there are collisions there. I would start from the other trajectories, filter them by what? I will take the trajectory of every car and look into the methods again. Oh, intersect with. Yes, intersect with my own trajectory. That will return a sequence of some graphical objects. Ask if there are any results returned. If so, there is a collision between two trajectories. So I have filtered the dangerous vehicles. I will just poke them out. The result of this entire function, which I will call detect possible collisions, is a sequence of mobile objects with which I suppose the car from the argument will collide within the next 5 seconds. Do you have any objections to the use of var here? Because the alternative is this. Give the full type name in every line. This is it. Do we really need this to understand that code? You can understand enormous portions of code by just reading the descriptive names of members on objects and the descriptive names of the variables. It doesn't matter what the object is. What matters is what it does, what methods it exposes. And we will come later to the situation where you will not even have a place where to name the type, and yet everything will be clear. Before that, let's start from scratch and see what that var keyword is. If I said something like this, var I equals 5, I will be an integer. If I wanted it to be a long, I would need to put a different literal here, or I don't know, decimal, whatever. So it's int. Another variable would be a string. The var keyword is literally a substitute for the full type name. Your code remains fully strongly typed. It doesn't turn into JavaScript. No, it remains C# strongly typed code. You cannot do something like this. You cannot change the type of a variable, not even with the use of var. There are corner cases, however, like declaring a collection using this new collection syntax. It's not clear what collection is it. Is it an int array or is it a list of int? Both possibilities are valid. It could also be a span, you know. It could be an enumerable. All these cases work fine. But then we come to the territory where it becomes a little bit unpleasant to use explicit types. Look at this. A dictionary of integer and string. Good. We can survive that. But then a generic type of generic types. Look at this. Dictionary of int to list of string. The type itself becomes convoluted now. Many people believe that the reason for using var is to avoid this situation in which we are writing a long type definition on both ends of the assignment, both at the declaration and the definition of the variable. That's not the real argumentation in favor of var. Of course, you would choose one side or the other. Target typed new expression will help here because it's already known from the left-hand side of the assignment which type this is. But let's raise the bar. What if there is a function or a method that returns some sequence of pairs of a number and a string, and we want to transform this to index this in form of a dictionary like the one we have above? You would probably be confused by what this variable is. For example, look at here. If I wrote something like this, right align the mapping of value 1. This piece of code is both unclear and wrong. It is confusing, it leads to bugs. And this is one of the arguments when not to use var. If the use of var will make your code confusing, unclear, if you lose the intention, if you lose information, then just don't use var, use the full type name. But this is not the principal reason why var was included in the language. This is an artificial example. Who writes code like this? You will never encounter an operation like this. Let's return to the original example with the cars and collisions. If you like what you have learned from this video so far, then please join me, subscribe to my channel and like the video. And if you want to help this channel to stay free for everyone, then please consider joining the growing community of supporters on my Patreon page. By becoming a patron, you get access to the source code from all the videos on my channel, as well as some other goodies that are not available on YouTube alone. Let's get back to code now. And the question is again, do we need types in this operation? That is the tricky question. Let me show you. Let me transform this code into a different form. I want to start from the vehicles, other vehicles scanned by this car, and then I want to copy this entire select clause. Then I want to pull this entire filter and copy it there, and to select other vehicles, and then just return that. I don't need any of this. I can turn this into an expression. If you are worried about performance because I'm projecting the trajectory of this car in every iteration, I can pull it out into a helper method, so to calculate the trajectory only once. And then look at this expression we have got at the end. That is that paradigm shift I was telling about. You don't need types in queries. And then observe your software. Imagine one domain model. How many ways are there to create or update a domain model? Pretty much one way. And how many ways are there to query it? On an important model, it could be dozens of ways. On a regular model, it's probably 2, 3, 5 ways to read it for different kinds of displays in the UI. Check out your software. Is it 80% reading and maybe 20% writing? Now focus on 80% of your software. It's gonna look like this. No types anywhere to be seen except in method signatures. And that is where the var keyword comes into place. I can use this model now. I can obtain an ID of a car somewhere, use the repository to find it. Then detect possible collisions. Everything on this screen is querying, reading the data. And I really don't need types here. I hope I have given you some material to think about. This is really a different perspective of code and its entire organization.